welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast, and today we have a good show for you all. Let's start. The AFCON. I want to start with the AFCON first, but before I start there, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. The snow is dispersing at a slower rate than I would have enjoyed and preferred, but it is dissipating, which is always good to see. We had some interesting score shakedowns at the end of this match week.
Yep.
Had a lot of blowouts and then had a lot of kind of nail biters at the end. It's very, very interesting how they all kind of is either one way or the other, especially for the games that we're talking about today.
Mm-hmm.
We got some interesting things going around in the news. Not that many transfer executions so far. And not a lot of high profile discussions. There's a couple of things going on really, but ultimately it's been kind of a slow start to the transfer window, and there's not that much time left. And it's funny, you around match week 12 or 13 or so, once you've sort of settled in after the summer transfer window, you start having an eye on what you're looking for in the winter. And it felt like everyone was talking this big game of like what they needed, right? That's what it felt like to me. I imagine that we were going to see a lot of stuff kind of going around.
I feel like Arsenal might be looking for a striker. I feel like
But it feels like everyone, the way that the clubs were kind of talking, like the management were talking, they were really wanting to at the start of the window smash right in and make a bunch of purchases, a bunch of grabs. It felt like everyone was wanting to smash the glass and run away, whereas nothing really that substantial has happened except for maybe Jordan Henderson and the Karim Benzema standoff/hostage situation, whatever that might end up turning into, which is a very interesting one, the collapse of a certain amount of players in the Saudi league, which is interesting. And a lot of people not wanting to admit that either. A lot of people with like a Ronaldo or like a Saudi Pro League banner on their Twitter pages.
They're
like, it's not that big of a deal. And everyone's like, well, no, there's people wanting to leave. A lot of people want to leave and leaving at the same time.
It goes back to everyone's experience, right? Most of the players they're playing there probably having their own finding out, everything's cool for them. They won't complain. I feel like big players didn't think that it was going to be what they thought it was going to be.
Everyone wanted the Ronaldo treatment, and not everybody's getting it, nor do they need to get it. They don't realize that that's very few people are there for that purpose in their eyes.
True. So but at his eyes, he's going to wave it around. That's him. And also at this stage and age, I don't think especially the top clubs, because for him to go there, I don't see him playing in a little club in any other of the leagues. Unless they're paying. I don't even think even if they had the money, because playing in not even Auxerre, something like what would I even think? Evian Tonongaya in that's in France, right?
Yeah, I remember.
In that playing that club, even if you had so much money, it's like, oh man, golly, where did you end up in? It will be different unless he could probably play. I feel like if he could play for Sporting, he probably, because that's his boy club. That's where he grew up in, where he grew up at, and that's where he became a revelation to the world. But I feel like there he could be fine. But something like if Antonio Gaya, one of these weird, he probably won't go. And in the Saudi, he's at the top club, I guess, and having that type of money. So for him, I think at this stage, he will. Of course, it's good for him, and he's there to go the league, because since he's been there, there's a reality too. Their viewership has increased, and they have been picked up. I think they showed their games in Europe now, or some, because the other day at work, I saw one of the games going. I think it was the champion.
Oh no, that's
some artifact.
I have access to that now.
Oh, for real?
They have a deal with Paramount Plus now.
See? They probably wouldn't have had a deal.
It's what the AFC is. That, what the division's called?
I don't know.
But it's their
Asian football.
It's their championship. It's their Champions League. Yeah. I was looking for something else on Paramount Plus in the sports section, and I saw it right there with Ronaldo right in the center of the picture.
Wait,
and I'm like,
what does Paramount Plus broadcast? I thought, for me, I just use it for Champions League. They have the Italian league on.
So they have the Champions League, they have Europa League, Europa Conference League, they have the Italian League, including the Coppa Italia domestic cup as well. So like they have both competitions.
I don't pay for Hulu in a sense because it comes with the Verizon package. So if I paid for Hulu separately, I will cancel Hulu then.
Well, and then also Paramount Plus recently have NFL games on live broadcast. They do not have them on replay. But they do have them on
is it
live
a
streaming.
special day, just like Amazon does it on Thursday, or because they can't have every single days, right? Because ABC or the national channel always have.
I'm pretty sure it's on ABC. Yeah. Okay. Well. So I was editing last week, and I'll usually have something on the office TV in the background, and I saw it was a live broadcast of the wild card NFL playoff game. And I was like, there's no way. They're probably it's probably just like the news leading up to it. And I clicked it, and sure enough, like it was like the midway through the first quarter, and I'm like, this is an actual NFL game. They don't usually broadcast in a streaming platform ever. And then they're promoting the AFC Championship on the page. So they will have the AFC Championship game on Paramount Plus, which is interesting.
Where is Mourinho heading to? That's the question I'm asking myself.
Chelsea fans want him back at Chelsea.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, that's what I've seen.
At this stage, I feel like that could be a good move. Because, like, if a team is so in shambles, who do you actually pick? You can't pick, because you need a manager of character, and you need a no BS manager.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's going to sit down, a lot of people, and this somebody really don't care who you are. I feel like Mourinho might be a great coach for those 2 years before his third years the curse start coming in. But while he goes in there, I think I feel like I can see it working out. I can get behind that. And plus it's Chelsea. It's why he got called a special one.
Yeah, I mean I could see it going either way. It is interesting though. It feels like Chelsea's very much a cutthroat, like move forward, take no prisoners club. Not wanting to backtrack to an old manager, but like that's also not the old Chelsea. The cutthroat Chelsea. This is definitely a we'll do anything to succeed now. Please help us, Jose. Sorry for anything that we said to you before, because Chelsea fans also have that issue as well. Like a player or a coach can do well for them for a couple of years, and then when they let them go, they're like, oh, they're so beneath us now. Like, not anymore.
Yeah, but I feel. He can go international.
He could
buy some years to still be at the top.
Yeah.
Because one thing I kind of feel is I feel like Mourinho's game, in a sense, hadn't transitioned to the new era.
Yeah.
Although I like the fact that it could be A, that, and B is also the fact that he hadn't had players that could, let alone not have that sort of automated system, but that are great individually and collectively without having the two. Look at the reason why I kind of like Madrid style of playing, even Bayern, is because they are not so. Because when you see Arsenal playing, although they're playing good football, but for me, it just sounds rehearsed. It's like they practice this stuff.
Yeah,
for so long.
There's a level of grace and
because the players are not free to do what they can.
Yeah,
so it just sounds so rehearsed to me. It's like, I know what's gonna happen. It's a pivot guy. He's gonna drop down. The goalkeeper is gonna make that pass. Look for either Zinchenko on the open wing. Make that pass, and Zinchenko will look upward, or just invert fullback. Come in the middle. It just. It's already there.
Yeah, and when it doesn't, and then that's the issue with a lot of, with a lot of tactics in athletics anyway, is that when the plan doesn't work, adapting is very difficult.
Yeah,
like it's like if it's based on if your plan, if your tactics are based on so much either going right for you or your opponent being predictable.
Yeah,
when they're all of a sudden not very predictable. Or the plan, the steps in your plan are not coming to fruition. You can't continue because the plan's built so much within its own self of those steps succeeding. Yeah. You can't really adapt and survive.
It's highly automated because once the rehearsed tactics and whatnot doesn't work, it becomes difficult. That's where the individuality of players usually come in and sort of break down the games and open to new horizons, or just open the game in general, and it becomes so difficult. And when you look at new wingers at this time, on one-on-one situation, they can't do nothing. Because they're not built for that, Well, let's go to the AFCON. And I want to say, you probably will not follow the AFCON like that, but Ivory Coast is out.
Yeah.
And for those of you listening this at home, especially those of you who know a little bit about African football, the teams and the Goliath and the big teams that used to be great ones fail to adapt or fail to progress. And nowadays, we have new blood coming in, and we have teams that are actually slashing, destroying all these big teams that are now shadow of the surf and more names than anything. Ivory Coast the host of the competition is going out. And
it's always fun when that happens, because it happened with the World Cup in 2018, didn't it? Because it was hosted by Russia.
Yeah.
And Russia got the shit kicked out of them immediately. Something like that, wasn't it? Or was it Qatar did it? Qatar did it, where they hosted and they wanted to be a big shot, and
Qatar did it in 2021. Was it 2020? They hosted it. The World Cup is in 2026, so they hosted it in 2020 last year actually.
Yeah. Where I think they had like the worst performance of a hosting nation ever, something like that.
Yeah,
it's interesting. But anyway,
for Ivory Coast, man, you get beat 4-0 at home hosting the competition. That's crazy. And I want to tell everyone, the revelation, the player of this tournament, for me especially, will be Emilio. I don't know if his name is Su, but Emilio Su. So this guy is Spanish by birth, but I think his dad is Guinean.
Okay.
He played in the youth, the under-17 Spain national team. And at some point, he decided to play for his country. That's what Google will tell you. But I will just tell you, yes, he did, but he just didn't have the level to. Let's be honest. Because 2008, man, you couldn't play in the Spanish team in 2008. That team was too great. But that's besides the point. This guy, he's the best scorer as it stands in the competition with 5 goals in just 3 games. This guy started as a forward, I think he went to Mallorca. Then Mallorca was like, you know what? Because he was also a little inconsistent. You know what? We'll play you as a right back. He went to Birmingham, or is it Bournemouth? Birmingham. He played as a right back too, and he became a right back. He goes back. He's playing the AFCON. He is playing as a forward, and this guy is killing it.
Yeah.
But many people are surprised and they say, well, it's a defender that became a striker and that's killing the game. Well, that defender was by nature a striker. So he's just reverting back to his natural nature. And I think for me, this is the revelation. That's the player of this AFCON.
5 goals in 3 matches.
Yeah.
With a goal. And that's wild, though. They've put up 9 goals and only conceded 3 in these games. Like that's pretty impressive overall.
Kicking Ivory Coast like they stole something from them. That is crazy. And since the AFCON has been created or have been created, I think it was in 1957 or 59. Not exactly sure.
Yeah.
But there have been 33 tournaments, and the total number of hosts that have been eliminated in group stage has been 8. Now 9 Ivory Coast added to the list. So that will be Ethiopia 1974, Tunisia 1994, 2002 Mali, 2008 Ghana, 2010 Angola, 2013 South Africa, 2017 Gabon, and that's when Cameroon won. 2019 Egypt.
There you go.
So
and they have more goals.
I think than
alone. No, in their group stage combined.
Oh yeah.
Everyone else in their group combined had only 7 goals total.
Yeah.
So that's a big statement.
Yeah, these guys are actually playing, and people, like I said, the giants of what we've known are not anymore. They should understand that they're not giant. All this Ivory Coast, or this Cameroon, or this Egypt, Ghana. Those days are long gone. They should start rebuilding. So
yeah.
I would just say that. We can move along. But for me, it was just funny. Arsenal, Crystal Palace, man.
Woo! Jesus. It's one of those situations where, and again, you got to keep in mind that it is a mid-table club, Crystal Palace.
Mm-hmm.
They're not particularly lights out, nor are they embarrassing themselves, really. So you have to take, if you were an Arsenal supporter, what you don't want to do in these circumstances is go, because they lost 2 games back to back, is go, yes, Arsenal's back.
Yeah.
You don't get to say that against Crystal Palace, and that's no disrespect, but like if you, as an Arsenal supporter and the club itself, are attempting to convince everyone that you are in the running for the title, you can't quite have that elation. That's not exactly a scoreline to expect per se, but it's one that you take in stride and you don't gloat about. That would just highlight how your insecurities of your poor performances lately. Really good 2 goals from set pieces though.
Yeah.
2 really nice headers. Gabriel, even though the second one was considered an own goal, it was Gabriel that was involved with it. But very well placed corners, very deep curves into that far corner where Gabriel obviously has the height and the physicality to get there, but it's a tricky one for the keeper because you're not certain how far away from the post it actually is.
Yeah.
You're scared to sort of jump up and make a play for that because you're leaving the entire goal exposed if it does go back in, because you're hugging that far post, but you still have to take the threat seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just very well placed balls from those set pieces.
My
for
question is, those performances like that sort of make Arsenal being reluctant to actually buy a striker, because they feel like, we won 5-0. Do we actually need a striker? What do you think?
I would say no. I would say no, because it's one of those situations as well where you're thankful for the 3 points. You're thankful for the bounce back performance, but obviously you don't want to just hold that too tightly, because again, it is against a mid-table side. That needs to happen. Maybe not 5-0, but you need a 3-0 against a West Ham instead of consistently losing to them. Gabriel was involved in a lot of the build-up. Trossard is the one that, so yeah, there was no dominant performance from the center forward. I think Nketiah had a couple of really good link-up passes.
Even Jesus he was really actionable to most of the goals, but most of the actions, but he didn't score, did he? I don't think he scored.
Who?
Jesus. Gabriel.
Yeah, no, he wasn't. He didn't have any to his name.
But I think he had an assist, especially.
Yeah, and that's apparently what he's there for. He himself has said that, and I agree and I disagree with that being a great thing. If like he's a striker that doesn't need to score goals, it's like, well, you do. But I get what he means of like he is a bit more of he is a link up player that is centrally located.
Yeah. And
I get that, and that does make sense. But at the end of the day, being a center forward in that front line, like you do still need to score more goals. You might, if you end up with in the season with more assists than goals at the end of the day, that's fine. But you need to be scoring more. That's just the definition of the position that you're playing.
Arsenal still needs a fox in the box.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing. He is that kind of sneaky player. Yeah. He is a very cheeky player in where he sets himself up. I think that a lot of the issue is that he's not a great finisher. And is therefore adapted to how he can play without needing to finish.
Yeah.
It's like because he's good at other things. I've always kind of thought that he's a bit more of an attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
Right behind the forward, because he links the ball beautifully, but you don't want him in the box, deep within the box for that final touch. You want him to help someone else get inside. But again, they play with a 4-3-3. That position is not quite a possibility for how they run how they run their tactics. So But I still absolutely think that there's a striker needed, without a doubt.
Yeah. I don't know at what stage point of rumors or news Arsenal is with finding a striker, but I feel like when they have this sort of performances, they feel the need to not want a striker. Because they say, hey, we can score, but whenever occasion arises or they play teams that are actually, not saying Crystal Palace is not that good, but when they play teams that requires more than just, surprising the back line at every single time like that, it becomes apparent that they need a striker, because then there's less opportunity, and what you have as opportunity, you have to be efficient, so you have to score. And now it shows, because the efficiency rate for most of these players are not that great when match are difficult.
They are slightly wasteful, and I see what you're saying in terms of playing like bigger clubs. I'll raise you one further. It's not even really about them in their performances in big matchups, because they're losing to teams like West Ham. And again, no disrespect, like, you don't need to beat the top clubs every single time to win the league. You just can't drop useless points to lower clubs. So this is not necessarily about like them needing to prove themselves and beat Liverpool home and away in a season. But if they're going to win the league or be in contention to win the league, they need a striker. They need those points. You can't drop, because Man City made the point that they can do it without a striker. They have a deeper squad. Their bench was insane at the time, right? But they were getting those points. They weren't dropping. There was no excuse. Because, like I said, like, you can win the league with a lackluster record against the other big six sides. But there's no going 4-3 against Luton away from home, and like consistently for some reason West Ham has your number for 2 years straight now. You know what I mean? That's the issue, and it stems from not being able to close the deal when it gets rough, regardless of the squad that it is. You can tell sort of within the first 20 to 25 minutes whether or not the ability to move the ball around convincingly in the final third is going to be a thing in that matchup or not.
Let's go to to Liverpool. Right, Liverpool Bournemouth. Is that any surprising? No, because guess what? Liverpool is in not good shape as far as the squad is concerned, but Liverpool is among the bigs. They're the most consistent. Means they don't really waste like that.
Well, they looked better than they usually look in this match.
That's true.
And
Jota was incredible.
Nunez was impressive too. He looked really good. That first goal, that first touch was beautiful. Just slid it right in the bottom right corner. That's the thing. I mean, they're getting their points whether or not they play that smooth every week or not. That's the difference. They looked fantastic. They looked fluid. They looked perfected. And they got a 4-0 result, but they're also, even when they're not looking as convincing, they're still getting those 3 points, and that's the separation, I believe, between the Arsenal side and this Liverpool side. Whether they look great or not, whether they're flashy or completely firing on all cylinders, they're still getting those 3 points almost guaranteed every single time. They look very good that way.
That's what I was saying. As it stands, Liverpool is very consistent, so they're not just giving points, but they're making sure that they are always winning, at least for the most part.
They're getting their results.
Because Arsenal did 4 games or 5 games successfully without winning. I think that was puts a big dent in their quest for the champions. But I want to see how this works out for them.
You don't want to see a 5-point deficit from the number one side in the league when they're able to just dig these results out of nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, they're 14, 6, and 1. And now I'm sure that they would like to have some of those draws as wins. Everyone would like that, but I mean, they are refusing to take a loss. They're walking away from every single match with points. And those 2 back-to-back losses from Arsenal, like, that's where the deficit came from. Whether or not Liverpool needed to win those, I mean, in their last 5, they've won 3, but they had 2 back-to-back draws as well. But that's still 2 points. In this title race between the top 4, but really the top 3 of Arsenal, City, and Liverpool. Like those 3 points they matter with each loss.
Yeah,
and this is gonna be a very tight, kind of all over the place top 3.
I'll go as far as saying that every single match that's been played between these guys, especially if Arsenal still wants a shot, and that goes for all of the 3-4 contenders. Actually, I would go even 5 because Tottenham is not far from City, and Tottenham is 5th, just 3 points.
Yeah.
But I just want to say, if all of these guys are wanting to win, they will have to understand that at this stage and point of the competition, they cannot be wasteful. They cannot allow other teams to beat them. They cannot take a draw. In fact, a draw at any single time or point in this quest for champion will hurt.
Yeah,
any single of this
and that's the frustrating thing about like I said about you can walk away from a match with 1 point, and it'd be okay. What you've done now with these 2 losses with West Ham and Fulham as an Arsenal supporter is that now, after Nottingham Forest, you have to beat Liverpool.
Yeah,
you have to beat them as opposed to if you had been able to get 6 points from Fulham and West Ham combined. You can take a draw, you can take a loss from a big 6 side, and still be very convincing in the top 3.
Yeah.
Whereas now, all of a sudden, you've got to beat the number 1 to be convincing to move your way back up into the points. And that's what you actively don't want. And that's what ended up happening late last season, where the big matchups were also the ones that you had the less likeliness to win. And that's not okay.
Let's go to the side of Spain. Santiago Bernabeu. This game, this match was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
Now, I want to ask everyone, do we believe Madrid actually buy games?
I don't, yeah.
Because this game, and I'm kind of frustrated about the new style of refrain, where back in the days, and you guys will say, oh, how old is this guy? He's just 20-something.
Younger than me?
Yeah, definitely.
Not definitely. No, please.
Definitely.
Couple of years, get out of here.
If you're 30 or over, you're just too old, man.
That's ridiculous. Well, as I am now, so you will be.
You know what's scary? Like I said, I was telling everyone, it's like, for the first time, I realized I'm closer to 30 than 20. So I was like, oh, dang, man, that don't feel right.
Welcome.
But I was just saying, back in the days, we know the principal referee. That means the referee that's on the stadium, if he gave or if he made a decision, it was irreversible. It don't matter who you are.
Yeah,
that's just how we know the game to be. If it's a red card and he says it's a red card, you're not reversing it. If it's a yellow card and he says it's a yellow card, you're not reversing it. If it's a free kick. But nowadays, the thing has become, because what he did, there's some things that he had right. And he goes to VAR and VAR is like, oh, nah. Then he ended up taking it back. Man, Jude Bellingham? It wasn't a foul. Well, I mean, this is soft foul, whatever, man. That wasn't even. I wouldn't even go for soft foul. It wasn't a foul. This Almeria player was trying to play the ball forward. He had a defending stand, and the contact wasn't even that close, and he just had his hand extended. And Bellingham did what? Flop, and this guy didn't. Progress with the game, and they scored. And guess what? VAR came in for the clutch and say, guess what? Hey man, they paid a lot of money for us. Let's reverse this thing.
You said it. I didn't say it.
I'm a Madrid guy sometimes, but I understand some things when it's unfair because Almeria scores and you guys go and have this little cahoots and come by and say, hey, it wasn't a goal, and you remove, you reverse.
Yeah.
And when Vinicius scores with a beautiful Maradona style of way,
like what was that? That was a body goal. It was weird. He just kind of runs into it with his arm.
It was his hand, because the ball and the position where the ball actually, or the surface area that came in contact with the ball was on the hand. Because if his hand was actually on the body, it would have been considered body.
Yeah. It was a weird one. It was a weird one.
It was a weird one, but
that penalty call for Bellingham was an interesting time as well, because Madrid go into halftime down 2. The penalty was in the 57th minute, but you imagine there's a couple minutes of deliberation, but it was like the 55th minute. Plenty enough time to sort of reestablish momentum, and build things back up. Obviously, they couldn't have paid for that Vinicius Jr. goal, nor could they have paid for the Carvajal goal in the very near post. But I mean,
other situation,
the penalty very early on to sort of discourage the lower ranked team to get the bigger team back in. It's like momentum in a boxing match.
I mean, it all plays. It's a question of mentality and how the match is going on, right? You can predict who's gonna score, but you can affect the game in bad refrain. So people get discouraged and frustration starts settling in, and the opponent that's receiving these will let the opposition play as they want to, because now there's a lot of frustration, there's a lot of angriness, and there's a lot of the whole game plan has been messed up for them. So mentality wise, they might have checked out of that. So that's how you can affect the game. But one thing that kind of struck something in my head, I'm like, wow, Jude Bellingham, they are so Madrid has placed the confidence in the kid, in the sense that I like what I saw, and he took the penalty at that young age.
Yeah,
you had Carvajal in there. Usually they'll say, well, the strikers would most of the time take it, but he just got in the team.
Yeah,
he hasn't even been yet there for a full year, and he's already taking penalties.
Yeah,
because I don't know if Modric was in there when he took that penalty, but actually Modric wasn't. But you had, like I said, Carvajal. You had, I think you had Kroos in there, and these guys, penalty-wise, their conversion rate is high, because penalty is not usually it's not solely the striker. It's really someone that's confident and that will always score.
Yeah.
And you had Rodrigo, so it's kind of crazy.
It was interesting to see it, but I mean, that looks like what he's gonna end up doing. I mean, he's not been there for a year. Yeah, I get that, but also Modric is not renewing. So, like, you do need to get someone young, someone's going to be there for a long time in that position.
But at least taking penalties?
It is.
You have Vinicius Jr.?
It's bold.
I'm just saying that there's a level that shows how established he has gotten himself in the Madrid squad, and that also shows how much confidence the coach has in him.
Yeah.
And that just shows how I would say the squad itself, how happy they are, and the harmony.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult for a player to just get in unless you're a big shot.
I mean, and like I said, like he's been there. He's not even been there a year, but you could make a very convincing argument, and kind of an irrefutable argument, that he's more important to the squad right now than Modric and Kroos. He's getting more minutes, and like at the end of the day, they're about to leave. It's like if you know for a fact that it's the last season for a player, they can't be your most important player.
I think Kroos renewed, right? Kroos renewed his contract.
He renewed like a 2-year deal or something like that, I think, which he is capable of playing at that level for that much longer as well, for sure.
Yeah, but it's also different because Kroos is just 34.
Yeah,
and Modric is
36, almost 37.
38.
He's not 38.
He gotta be up there. I would say 37 at that, because Modric is old. He just looks. He is old.
He has an old face too, though.
He's been playing for so long.
You're right. He's 38. Yeah. He's 38.
That's why.
Yeah.
If he was 34, they will renew. That's why Kroos can get a renewal deal, and he can get, because he's there.
Yeah, he turned 38 4 months ago.
Yeah.
So.
And it's crazy. I will really be interested to see some sort of data or research, if there is online. That's what I will probably, and we probably can have a debate on this. Is the retirement age has shifted from an average, I would say probably back in the days, just as a wild guess, I would say the average was 30. But now I can see it being 34, 35. Players retired much more later.
But it's
longevity.
But it's also players that are not everyone's retiring that old either, or playing at the high level at that age.
Yeah.
But it's these great players. It's the ones that were playing so well at 28.
Yeah.
That when they did lose a small step at 30, they were still head and shoulders above everybody else. Yeah. And it's just how much. Most of them, they were playing so much better than the average player that every year they can still just keep playing at that level, though slightly lesser.
I mean that is right too. But back in the days, your Xavi, Kaká, Shevchenko, they didn't last for 34, and this was these were excellent players. I'm just saying, because you had Kaká didn't last for that long, Shevchenko didn't last for that long. Basically, it was just goalkeepers at the time.
Yeah, sure.
But nowadays, a lot of players. Especially the best ones at that high level, they usually tend to retire faster because they've taken so much beat down on their bodies.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that it makes sense that Luka Modric and Toni Kroos have lasted this long, because not that they're not athletic players, but they're very centered players. They're more about mentality, threading passes to create space. They're not using blistering speed or physicality. Seeing Ronaldo stay as high profile as he did, because he was known as the speed demon, the absolute workhorse. You could see him getting a knee injury at 30 and never recovering at that level again. You could have seen that. But the fact that he was playing at Real Madrid later than someone that has that play style usually does, that was very impressive to see for sure.
Yeah, especially when you're that fast, your longevity in that game or in this game is not that long.
Well, because he changed his style too. Even toward the end of Real Madrid, you saw that he wasn't playing as physical as he used to, but he adapted and it was still very, very effective.
Yeah.
And then,
well, let's go to Germany. Leipzig, Leverkusen. I didn't watch that game per se, but it was a pretty interesting one. What are your impressions about that game? And I would tell you what, Leipzig is playing some football. But Leverkusen is killing.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
they haven't lost a game. Since the season probably started.
Yeah, they have 15 wins, 3 losses, and 3 draws and 0 losses.
Yeah,
they just refuse, man. They refuse, and I think that was a massive one for them because the table by match week 18 is shaking down to where you kind of expect it to be. Dortmund at 5th place, being relatively unconvincing to make a title run. Leverkusen proving again and again every single week that they deserve to not only be in a Champions League position, but give me a reason why they shouldn't be legitimately considered for the title.
Leverkusen, 48 points.
48 points. Munich do have a game to play, but again, those 3 points are not guaranteed for anyone except Leverkusen, I guess, because they can't lose. And then you have Stuttgart coming in and Leipzig making another convincing run. Leipzig's usually in the top 6, top 7. But again, the point drop-off is quite steep for Stuttgart, so it really is a 2-horse race in the Bundesliga. Bayer Leverkusen look fantastic, man. Not only are they obviously strong choices for the league, I don't see, aside from getting matched up unfairly with Liverpool, why they wouldn't be a favorite for the Europa League as well.
Yeah.
There's a universe that exists right here where Leverkusen could win a double.
Yeah.
And that's unbelievable to me.
Do you imagine that last year at the beginning of the season, before Xavi took the team, because Xavi took the team this year actually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, this year, sorry. They were not in good shape. And just like that, he is doing what he's doing with the team.
For the last couple of seasons, it was not uncommon to see Leverkusen in the 11th to 15th rank. I don't think that they were really in relegation possibility.
Because last
but they were
they finished 6th, but they were not as established. And that as established as they are now, and they were not as feared as they are, and the way they play the game is totally different. It's interesting. So I'm really amazed. I wonder if this current team, if they win, that's a big if because the season's still ongoing.
Yeah.
But if they win the Bundesliga and then Champions League next year, I will be interested to see if this team could still stick together to accomplish more.
Because you have to hope and pray. And again, we've had this conversation several times.
Yeah.
With these selling clubs playing as well as they do, you've got to hope that Florian Wirtz stays. You've got to hope that Victor Boniface stays.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of, but again, keep that in mind as well. Aside from name value from a club, a lot of these guys do they base their decisions on the possibility of Champions League football.
Yeah.
So, do you just renew a 2-year? If you're Victor Boniface, if you're Florian Wirtz, do you agree to sort of extend your deal for a 2-year period now that you are almost guaranteed Champions League football? That's the goal. You have the possibility of winning a double. That
depends.
And then you have Champions League football the next season regardless.
Yeah, because if a big club comes knocking, then you're like, Because
but at the end of the day,
I could be Chelsea, right?
Oh, fuck.
I could be Chelsea.
Yeah. Well,
and I still don't play Champions League next week.
That's not incentive to me.
Next year,
yeah.
Right? No, look at this way. I could be Chelsea. I don't play Champions League next year, but I'm a big team.
Ugh.
You could be Leverkusen. You playing all whatever you want to play, but I come knocking. This guy is thinking, right? Do I want to go to a team that has more potential than Leverkusen that could be a dying breed in the next year? Because you make in mind, there's a pattern of all this emerging teams coming, and wouldn't last for 2 or 3 years. Like they'll be good for 1 or 2 years and won't last.
You hope, and I hope personally as someone that opportunities over. I mean, these guys are already making really good money. I'm not saying that no one would not want to make more money. I'm not saying that, but I also think that you used a bad example of Chelsea. That's just me, because they don't have Champions League football. They're proving that the system itself has had several years now of not working under this ownership. There's no reason to think that they're going to just start improving. And next year, you're paying the consequences of this current crop of players for not being able to get their shit together. I'm not saying that you stay at Leverkusen forever. I'm not saying that this bubble that they've built is going to stay. That's how these selling clubs work. That's how teams like Lille steal the league from PSG. You get a small group of players that sort of just stick together for a little while. They come out of nowhere. They take the giant by surprise. They're oddly consistent because they start believing that they can do it. I'm not saying that everybody stays and that everyone retires at Leverkusen, but I think in this moment, this team has the chance for a double and guaranteed Champions League football next year.
Because
I think you try to get a 1 to 2 year extension on these guys to try to keep them, because Leverkusen doesn't want to lose them, and I think that there are a lot of players that would want to stay at this project. When, I mean, Manchester City are not playing as well as they're used to playing, but it's still a big club. But the prospects of the incentives to play at clubs bigger than Leverkusen is smaller now than before.
Yeah,
if that makes sense, because no one's playing at the top of their game. Leverkusen's not. I mean, Bayern's not. Madrid is not. Barcelona is not. Chelsea is not. PSG is not. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
and this
you could always go there, but
this club can always come knocking.
Yeah, and they will be there in 2 years. What's not going to be there in 2 years, realistically, is Bayer Leverkusen competing for a double.
Yeah,
and guaranteeing Champions League football for the next season.
Unless what they do is, because the problem with this small clubs is they get a good squad, they play well, there's no investment back in the club in a sense. Or what they want is gaining back their money or return on investment, so they start selling.
Yeah,
because there's not a bigger picture. And in a sense, I don't blame them, because money is coming in, so you got to pay the bills. Unless you had another influx of money that's coming from somewhere and you wanted to make a bigger impact, thus having more money coming in.
Yeah,
but that I don't know, because like I said, it don't matter if it's Chelsea has a much bigger history.
Yeah,
and there's possibility. And the difference is, if Chelsea is up and running on its feet, they have more chances of staying at the top of the game than Leverkusen have been chances to say. Like, you think if Chelsea came knocking for Grimaldo, he wouldn't go? He will leave. He will leave as soon as he hears the name. Because the difference with Chelsea and United, Chelsea actually, they don't really have a managerial issue in the sense of managers being the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
It's just that the person in charge don't know about what is going on.
Yeah.
But I believe for them, they have a good coach.
Yeah.
A good manager.
Yeah.
Most of
the owner is so bad at running a club.
Yeah.
That everyone around him that does know suffer from that. Like it's one thing to be bad at your job. It's another thing to be so bad at your job that you affect other people's performances. Yeah. How is it that you're so bad at managing a club that all of a sudden these guys forget how to play football?
Yeah.
I can't think of a single situation in which if I'm a cashier at a fast food restaurant, how can I be so bad at running the cashier that I affect the fry cook? That all of a sudden he's bad at making his fries because I'm so bad at taking the money from a customer. It's like at a certain point, these players should be able to get the shit together themselves and say, look, this guy, to use a somewhat southern expression, doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. You know? Like, this guy does not know anything about what he's doing. But you know what?
He's clueless.
His cluelessness does not affect my ability to dribble the ball. But somehow it is because of how he's connecting things together.
What did you expect? You give a club to an American who calls football soccer.
There are some American owned, like Stan Kroenke from Arsenal.
He's the majority.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, don't get me wrong, and he had several bad spells of ownership. You know what I mean? But like, you can sort of get out of your own way and allow the guys underneath you to do what they need to do. This guy is not allowing that, to the point where somehow it's affecting how the players actively play on the pitch.
That's why, guys, I don't sometimes put a lot of political issues on games itself. When I talk about games, I'm not talking about soccer. I'm talking about sports itself, in a sense, because what's happening to Chelsea is the result of a political bad move. And I'll just not to get too political on y'all, but that's not my intent. But I'm just saying that result is whatever the hell is going on in the world, and they had to force the great Ibrahimovic out just for all this to happen. And now they're suffering because you put someone that don't know what the hell he's doing, don't understand football, and calls football soccer.
In Europe. You can't do that.
What do you expect?
Even though soccer is an English, originating in England term, the English made it up. They did. They quickly, I guess, forgot that. They tend to.
But we don't. But we don't call it like that.
They're like don't. Sometimes don't bring that up again.
Sometimes when I talk to my dad and I say that, it's like, what did you say? What did you just say?
What did you just say?
But yeah, that's about it for today. I was very pleased with the games, and like I said, right now I'm really following the AFCON, and things are getting spicy over there. And you guys should do too.
Yeah, so we are going to, I think, in the near future, because Champions League doesn't really get back into gear until mid to late February. Yeah. I believe we will still in that downtime. We are revamping things in the podcast. We're sort of keeping that to ourselves, and we're trying to have a bit of a rollout plan. But I think that we'll have a couple of new reaction videos in the next couple of weeks. We've got some lined up that should be interesting, but yeah, because we have a couple of down weeks where we'd only be recording once a week, we might try to get some extra bits in there for some reaction videos. You guys seem to have liked them when we have released them, and it's been a while as well, so we like to keep our formats kind of freshened up and have multiple ways to express this stuff.
Go like, subscribe, comment,
like it,
whatever you do,
you're gonna like it.
And there's all our social links on the podcast
in the description below.
Yep, do it.
Get on the TikTok. I don't have a TikTok, but get your ass on the TikTok.
Yeah, but we do have a TikTok.
We do. I do not. We do, though.
And
collectively.
You can go there and subscribe and follow us. Come comment. Come talk with us. We love you guys.
Good and bad. If you want to say that you like what we're doing, if you have ways that you think that we can improve, if you just want to say, you're one ugly son of a bitch.
Oh, dang.
I'm not saying we want to hear that, but we want to hear from you so bad that we're willing to accept that as a possibility of what you might say. And we won't be even too upset about that. We will say thank you for the traffic.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye.
Bye.